I still don't know why I'm the only one who remembers the names. Every missing person was erased from police reports, employment records, family photo albums. Even from the memories of the people who loved them. Everyone forgot. Except me. The weather station always knew who was next. And it always printed the forecast exactly 48 hours before they disappeared. My name is Ethan Mercer, and 3 years ago, I accepted what I thought was the easiest contract of my career. Maintain an automated weather station deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains for 6 months. No tourists, no public access, no neighbors, just weather. The money was almost double what I'd been making with the National Weather Service. That alone should have made me suspicious. The hiring process lasted less than 20 minutes. Nobody asked about my certifications. Nobody cared about my experience repairing Doppler radar systems. Instead, an older man in a plain gray suit asked one question. If a machine tells you something impossible, do you trust the machine or your own eyes? I laughed because I assumed it was some kind of personality test. My own eyes. He nodded without smiling. Most people say that. Then he slid a folder across the table. Inside was a satellite photograph of a lonely weather station sitting on top of a granite ridge. Across the top, someone had stamped one sentence in red ink. Granite Peak Station 14. I asked why the station had a number instead of a name. He closed the folder. You won't need to know. The station sat nearly 9,000 feet above sea level. The final 30 miles could only be reached by an old service road winding through burned forest left behind by a wildfire years earlier. The driver who dropped me off never turned off his engine. He unloaded my bags, handed me a metal key ring, and said quietly, "If the forecasts change, don't try to change them." Before I could ask what he meant, he was already driving back down the mountain. The outgoing technician was waiting inside. Lewis Garner, late 50s, thin, exhausted. He looked like he hadn't slept in months. He didn't bother showing me around. Instead, he pointed toward a locked filing cabinet. "Everything you'll need is in there." Then he hesitated. "If the printer ever stops printing weather." He swallowed. "Leave." Those are the last words he ever said to me. I watched his truck disappear down the mountain. I never saw him again. Granite Peak Station was surprisingly modern. Solar panels, backup generators, atmospheric sensors, lightning detectors, satellite uplinks. Everything revolved around one central computer labeled simply Forecast. Every hour it automatically printed weather reports. Temperature, humidity, wind speed, pressure, exactly what you'd expect. For the first 3 days, nothing unusual happened. The isolation bothered me more than I expected. No birds, no hikers, no aircraft. Even the wind seemed strangely quiet after sunset. Sometimes I'd walk outside just to hear something. Anything. Instead, there was only silence. The kind of silence that made you aware of your own heartbeat. On the 4th night, just after midnight, I remembered the filing cabinet. Inside I found maintenance manuals, old station logs, and a laminated card tucked inside a sealed envelope. Across the top it read, Night Operating Procedures. Below were 6 rules. Rule 1. Never look directly east after sunset. Use the exterior cameras if necessary. Odd, but harmless enough. Rule 2. If every instrument suddenly reports perfect weather, go inside immediately. Do not remain outdoors. Perfect weather? That seems strangely specific. Rule 3. Do not answer emergency radio calls requesting tomorrow's forecast. Tomorrow's forecast? Who would ask for that in the middle of the night? Rule 4. If someone knocks on the observation deck between 2 o'clock and 2:15 a.m., ignore it. Nobody should be there. Rule 5. If forecast prints an expected event, do not interfere. Expected event? That wasn't meteorology. Finally, Rule 6. If forecast ever prints your own name, leave immediately. Do not stop driving until sunrise. I turned the card over. Nothing. No signatures. No agency logo. Just 6 impossible instructions. I honestly believed Lewis had written them as some kind of joke. That belief lasted exactly 23 minutes. At precisely 1 a.m., the printer activated. I expected another weather report. Instead, a single page slowly emerged. Across the top, expected event. Below it, one missing person. Time remaining, 47 hours, 59 minutes. Nothing else. No weather data. No temperatures. No explanation. Just those 4 words. I rebooted the computer. Ran diagnostics. Checked every cable. No hardware faults. No software corruption. The screen still displayed perfectly normal weather maps. Only the printed report had changed. Curious now, I searched the archive room beneath the station. Hundreds of storage boxes lined steel shelves. Every hourly forecast had been preserved for decades. Most were completely ordinary. Then I found another expected event report. 2 missing persons. Another. 1 unidentified body. Another. 5 survivors. Every strange report had something handwritten across the bottom. 1 word. Confirmed. Written in red ink. Every single time. The oldest report dated back more than 30 years. The pattern never changed. Expected event. Then, confirmed. I slept badly that night. The following afternoon, my satellite phone rang. Dispatch sounded unusually tense. Ethan, have you seen your supervisor today? No, he never checked in. His truck had been found halfway up the mountain road. Engine still running. Driver's door open. Wallet. Phone. Keys. Everything remained inside. Except him. No footprints. No blood. No signs of struggle. He had simply vanished. Exactly 48 hours after the printer predicted. 1 missing person. 3 days later, I called headquarters to ask about him again. The woman answering sounded confused. What supervisor? I gave her his full name. Silence. She searched the employee database. I'm sorry. We've never had anyone here by that name. I searched my own emails. Every message he'd ever sent me was gone. His personnel file no longer existed. Even the paperwork authorizing my transfer had changed. Someone else's name had replaced his. It was as if reality itself had quietly rewritten history. Behind me, the printer came alive again. Another page slowly slid into the output tray. This one read, expected event, 2 missing persons. Time remaining, 48 hours. Then, 1 letter at a time, another sentence appeared beneath it, as though someone invisible was typing from inside the machine. The storm isn't taking them. It's making room for something else. I stared at those words until the printer went silent again. It's making room for something else. That sentence bothered me more than the prediction itself. Storms don't make room. Storms destroy, flood, burn, freeze. They don't remove people one by one, not without leaving bodies behind. I folded the page, stuffed it into my jacket pocket, and decided I wasn't going to let another prediction come true. If the station knew someone was about to disappear, I'd stop it. That was my first mistake. The report hadn't identified who the next 2 people were, only that it would happen in 48 hours. I called dispatch. No answer. I tried the regional ranger office. Static. The satellite signal kept dropping every few seconds. Finally, 1 transmission got through. A woman introduced herself as Dispatcher Megan Holt. Her voice sounded strained. Ethan, is everything normal up there? I hesitated. No. Silence. Then she whispered, so it finally started. Before I could ask what she meant, the line cut out. That evening, I searched every cabinet in the station. Lewis had left behind more than maintenance manuals. Hidden behind the electrical schematics was a notebook. Black leather. No title. Every page was filled with dates. Predictions. Names. Some crossed out. Some circled. The final pages became frantic. The handwriting grew shakier. Almost unreadable. 1 entry caught my attention. September 14th. Forecast predicted 1 missing person. Ignored it. Tried warning him. Didn't matter. Forecasts aren't predictions. They're records. Another. October 2nd. Tried evacuating everyone. 3 disappeared instead of 1. Interference makes it worse. Then the final entry. Written so hard the pen had nearly torn through the page. If you're reading this, never let the station know you're trying to stop it. I frowned. The station, not the storm, not whoever built the place. The station itself. At exactly 8:17 p.m., every light flickered. Outside, the wind stopped instantly. Not slowed, stopped. The trees froze completely still. Every weather monitor updated simultaneously. Wind speed, 0 miles per hour. Pressure, perfect. Humidity, perfect. Temperature, exactly 68 degrees. Every reading, perfect. Rule 2. If every instrument suddenly reports perfect weather, go inside immediately. I already was. Then I remembered something. The observation deck. I rushed upstairs. The outer door stood open. I knew I'd locked it. Cold mountain air poured inside. Beyond the railings stretched the eastern valley. Rule 1. Never look directly east after sunset. Instead, I switched on the external camera. The monitor showed the valley clearly. At first, nothing. Then, movement. Far below, someone was walking through the trees, carrying a flashlight. Impossible. No hiking trails existed within 20 miles. I zoomed in. The figure wore an orange weather station jacket. Lewis, the technician who'd left 4 days earlier. He looked directly into the camera, raised one hand, and slowly shook his head. No. The camera feed exploded into static. Behind me, 3 slow knocks echoed through the station. Knock. 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 Rule 4. Someone knocking between 2 and 2:15. Except it wasn't 2 o'clock. It was only 8:23 p.m. Another knock. Closer. From a hallway this time. I stepped outside. Nobody. Then another knock. Above me. On the roof. Heavy. Deliberate. As though someone wearing boots was pacing directly overhead. The emergency radio crackled. Ethan. The voice belonged to Lewis. I made the same mistake. I looked. I grabbed the microphone. Lewis. Static. Then, don't answer when it learns your voice. The transmission died. I froze. I'd already answered dispatch earlier. I'd answered Lewis. I'd spoken several times over the emergency frequency. Had it. Already learned my voice. The printer activated again. Another page emerged. Not a forecast. A photograph. Black and white. Taken from high above the station. Standing outside the front entrance. Was me. The timestamp printed beneath it read, "Tomorrow." I hadn't taken that picture. Nobody could have. There were no helicopters, no drones, no cameras, just the station. Then I noticed something else. There wasn't only one person in the photograph. Behind me, standing just outside the tree line, was another figure. Tall, completely black, no facial features, no clothing, only a silhouette. It was watching me, heart pounding. I spun toward the window, overlooking the forest. Nothing, just darkness. Then, movement. A single shape stepped silently between the trees, exactly where the photograph had shown it standing. Too tall, too thin. It didn't walk. It seemed to slide, always facing the station, never looking away. My satellite phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. My own voice replied, "Ethan, don't go outside tomorrow." Then the line disconnected. The caller ID displayed something that made my blood run cold. Instead of a phone number, the screen simply read, "Forecast." The phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor. For several seconds, I couldn't move. The screen was still glowing. Call ended. Forecast. I picked it up again. No missed call. No incoming number. No call history at all. It was as if the conversation had never happened. Except I could still hear my own voice in my head. "Don't go outside tomorrow." I unplugged the satellite phone, removed the battery. Then I walked into the communications room and shut off the entire radio rack. If the station wanted to talk, I wasn't listening anymore. 5 seconds later, the intercom above the hallway clicked on by itself. "Ethan." My voice again. Calm. Steady. "You forgot the hallway speakers." I yanked the main breaker. The entire station went dark. Emergency lights activated immediately. Whoever designed Granite Peak had clearly expected total power failures. The intercom remained on. Still powered. Still speaking. There isn't a switch for me. I walked outside. Not because I wanted to. Because I needed air. The emergency lights painted the station in a dull red glow. Everything beyond them disappeared into darkness. The forest looked wrong. Not different. Wrong. The trees hadn't moved. Not one branch. Not one needle. The wind sensors still read 0. Perfect weather. Still. Then Then I noticed footprints. Fresh, leading toward the station. Only one set. Large work boots. Exactly like mine. I followed them with my flashlight. They began at the tree line, walked across the gravel, reached the front door, then stopped. No return footprints. Whoever had made them had entered, but I hadn't left the station since sunset. Every light inside was off except the emergency strips. The building felt colder, much colder. I checked every room, generator room, kitchen, storage, nothing. Then I reached the equipment bay. The door was open. I'd locked it earlier. The printer sat quietly on the desk, waiting. Beside it lay another sheet of paper. I hadn't heard it print. It wasn't another prediction. It was a map of the station. Every room was empty, except one, the observation tower. A single red dot blinked slowly at the very top. Below it, someone had typed, "1 occupant detected." My pulse spiked. There was no motion detector up there, no security sensor, nothing capable of counting occupants. Still, the map insisted someone was inside the tower. I grabbed the emergency flashlight and climbed the stairs. Metal steps echoed beneath my boots. Halfway up, I heard breathing. Not mine. Slow, measured, waiting. The observation room was empty. Or almost empty. The chair faced the eastern windows. Whoever had been sitting there had just stood up. The seat was still warm. Then I saw my notebook. It lay open on the console. I hadn't brought it upstairs. Across 2 blank pages, someone had written a message in my handwriting. Not similar. Identical. Stop searching for the missing people. Start searching for the extra people. I felt my stomach tighten. Extra people? The security monitors turned on by themselves. Every camera showed the station from a different angle. Then, camera 4. The access road. Someone was walking toward the station. Female. Park ranger uniform. Flashlight. Dispatch backpack. She reached the front porch and looked directly into camera 4. Then she spoke. Even though there was no microphone, I read her lips. "Ethan." The radio downstairs crackled. "Ethan." Same woman's voice. "This is Megan Holt. I found the station. I need you to let me in." My heart jumped. Dispatch. She'd finally come. I started down the stairs. Halfway there, Rule 4 flashed through my mind. Nobody should be here. I stopped. Instead of opening the door, I checked the personnel database, searching for Megan Holt. No results. I searched dispatch employees. Nothing. No Megan. No Holt. She didn't exist. The knocking started. 3 slow knocks. Exactly like before. Knock. 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 Then her voice. "Ethan, I know you're checking." They erased me. The printer activated downstairs. Another page emerged. I ran to it. Expected event. 2 missing persons. Time remaining. 3 hours, 12 minutes. Below that, a second sentence slowly appeared. Letter by letter. "Do not let her inside." Outside, Megan began crying. Real crying. Desperate. "I've been driving for 8 hours. I don't know what's happening. They won't answer my calls. My GPS keeps bringing me back here. Please, open the door." Every instinct I had screamed to help her. But the printer had never been wrong. Not once. Then, the security camera glitched. Just for 1 frame. During that single frame, Megan wasn't standing alone anymore. Behind her, less than 2 feet away, stood a tall black silhouette. Motionless. Watching the station. Watching me. The image returned to normal. She was alone again. Still crying. Still knocking. I reached for the door handle. Before I could touch it, someone whispered directly behind my ear. Not through the radio. Not the intercom. Inside the room. Close enough that I felt warm breath against my neck. "You already let her in?" I spun around. The station was empty. Then, the front door slowly unlocked by itself. The deadbolt turned with a soft metallic click. I hadn't touched it. Neither had Megan. Yet the lock slid open anyway. Outside, she stopped crying immediately. The silence was worse than the knocking. Then she smiled. Not warmly. Relieved. Like someone who'd finally been invited inside. I stepped back. Every alarm in my head screamed not to open that door. The printer began chattering again. A new page emerged so fast it curled onto the floor. Correction in progress. 1 entry duplicated. Remove the extra. My blood went cold. Megan pushed the door open herself. She walked in slowly, brushing rain and pine needles from her jacket. Only, it hadn't rained all week. The needles were wet. Water dripped onto the floor and pooled around her boots. She looked exhausted, pale, shivering. "Ethan," she whispered. Thank God. I didn't answer. Something was wrong with her shadow. The emergency lights cast shadows toward the back wall. Hers stretched the opposite direction, toward the door, toward the darkness outside. She noticed me staring. "I know how this looks." "Do you?" I asked. Her eyes flicked to the printer. For the briefest second, fear crossed her face. Real fear. They printed another correction, didn't they? "You know about that?" "I know enough." She took a careful step closer. "If we stay here until midnight, one of us disappears." The station lights flickered. Every monitor turned on simultaneously. Instead of weather data, each screen showed a different camera angle of the station. And in every single feed, there were 3 people inside. Me, Megan, and a tall black silhouette standing somewhere nearby. In the kitchen, in the hallway, at the base of the stairs. Always just outside the edge of the light. Always facing us. Megan saw it too. Her face drained of color. "It came early. What is it?" She shook her head immediately. "Don't ask that here." The silhouette on the hallway monitor moved. Not walking, just suddenly closer. The feed crackled with static. A siren began wailing outside. Low, mechanical. The station had no siren. Megan grabbed my arm. "We have maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes until what?" "Until the forecast becomes history." That sentence hit me harder than anything else she'd said. The forecast wasn't predicting the future. It was recording something that had already happened. The intercom clicked on. My voice filled the station. "Midnight arrives in 9 minutes." Megan flinched. "You answered it, didn't you?" I didn't need to answer. She saw in my face. Oh God. The monitors changed again. Now they showed the access road. Headlights climbed slowly through the trees. A truck, old government issue. It stopped at the gate. One man stepped out. Lewis Garner, the technician who'd supposedly left days ago. He looked exactly the same. No dirt, no fatigue, no age. He stared directly into camera 1 and spoke. Even without audio, I could read his lips. "Don't let the second one stay." Megan backed away from the screens. "He's not Lewis anymore. You know him." I knew the original. Original. The word hung in the air. Then she said the thing I had been terrified to think. "Ethan, how long have you been at Granite Peak?" 6 days. She closed her eyes. "No, that's impossible." She pulled a folded document from her backpack and shoved it into my hands. A missing person bulletin. My photograph. My name. Date last seen. July 18th, 2023. 3 years ago. I stared at it. "No, that's not possible. I drove up here last week." "Ethan," she whispered, "I've been looking for you for 3 years." The room tilted. I remembered the interview, the drive, Lewis handing me the keys. But suddenly those memories felt thin, incomplete, like scenes cut from a longer film. The clocks on the wall all jumped forward at once. 11:58 p.m. The silhouette appeared at the top of the stairs. No static, no camera glitch. It was physically there now, tall enough that its head nearly touched the ceiling. Featureless, blacker than the darkness around it. The air temperature dropped instantly. My breath fogged. Megan whispered, "Don't look at its face. It doesn't have one." Exactly. The silhouette took one step forward. The printer screamed and spat out a final sheet. Expected event. 1 missing person. Time remaining. 1 minute and 12 seconds. Below that, new words appeared. Select the original. Lewis began pounding on the front door. 3 heavy knocks. Again. The silhouette descended another step. Megan grabbed my shoulders. "Listen to me. One of us doesn't belong here anymore." "How do we know which one?" She opened her mouth, then stopped, because she didn't know either. My memories started slipping. The apartment I'd rented before this job. My brother's phone number. The color of my mother's kitchen. Details vanished like smoke. The silhouette was taking them, or returning them. I couldn't tell which. The clocks hit 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds. Lewis shouted through the door. "Ethan, It's choosing. Megan shouted back. He's lying. The silhouette reached the bottom stair. 30 seconds. Then I saw the security monitor. Not the live feed. The timestamp. Every camera showed the same date. July 18th, 2023. The day I disappeared. Not today. Not this year. The station had trapped me the moment I arrived. Everything since then had been happening inside the correction. I looked at Megan. She was crying now. Real tears. Not the strange, dry sobbing from outside. I came back for you, she said. That was when I remembered. Not everything. Just enough. Megan had been the dispatcher. She called me during my first week. She'd warned me not to stay after the forecast changed. I had laughed. Then the station printed my name. And I stayed anyway. The silhouette stopped directly in front of me. Cold flooded through my chest. The clock struck midnight. Every light went out. For one heartbeat, the station disappeared. No walls. No floor. Only endless darkness filled with drifting weather reports and forgotten names. Then a voice, not male, not female, not human, asked a single question. Which Ethan should remain? I thought of the missing bulletin. 3 years. Megan searching for me. My family believing I was dead. And I understood. The station didn't erase people. It kept copies. I had become one. So I answered the darkness. The one who can still leave. The cold vanished instantly. A wind tore through the station.